All right, it's just about showtime, and I have the honor of hosting the 1776 Awards special. Very cool set we're on right here. Got to get quiet in the house. Let me tell you something. These kids are incredibly impressive. We got students from all around the country putting their knowledge of civics, history, government, all to the test in an elite competition. They're all competing for a $250,000 scholarship. Honestly, though, all these kids are winners. Their intelligence, their preparation, their passion, just it gives me a lot of hope for the future. So I hope you'll check out the special when it airs June 30th on CBS.
June 30th, CBS. That's tonight. And we are talking about the Presidential 1776 Award, and we are so pleased and honored to be able to speak with the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, here on the Annie Frey Show about this incredible award and this event. Secretary, thank you so much for the time today. It's great to have you with us.
Well, thanks, Annie. And just let me reiterate, it is tonight. It's at 8 o'clock on CBS, so be sure and tune in. It's pretty exciting.
It's the first ever Presidential 1776 Award competition, which means there might be a lot of people listening right now who aren't aware that this competition has been going on. What can you tell us about the Presidential 1776 Award?
Well, I'll tell you, it was designed, certainly to raise civics awareness across the country. We've, found out that only about 75% of our eighth graders, are not proficient in civics, which means only 25% are.
Wow.
And we really wanted to raise the level of that. And as we're in our 250th birthday year here in the country, the Presidential 1776 Civic Awards was very important to us. So we started back in February with the Impossible Civics Test, and about 8,000 students from every state in the country registered and took this test. It was about 90 minutes. And from there, then we narrowed it down to a little less than 200. And the balance of those then went to 5 regionals at different presidential libraries across the country. And the final 20 then came to Washington, D.C. and competed in the finals at the Kennedy Center. And that is what was recorded for CBS and will air this evening.
Well, we are excited to take it in. It says 8 p.m. Eastern, so 7 o'clock our time on CBS, the first ever Presidential 1776 Awards. You serve as the Secretary of Education. We're speaking with Secretary Linda McMahon. This is a focus on civics and government and good education. What's your assessment coming into this position about the focus that we've had as a nation on making sure kids understand how our country works and where our country came from?
I think we've done a poor job of that. And I think the statistics that I mentioned right at the beginning, that only 25% of our eighth graders are proficient in civics, is pretty indicative of not knowing very much about the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the 3 branches of government. And it's incredibly sad to me, and as I've toured around the country and visited many schools, there are a lot of schools that are even opting out now of not even saying the Pledge of Allegiance. First thing in the morning when there's so many students, typically are going to school, that was one of the first things you did was say the Pledge of Allegiance. And when I hear statements, that are disrespectful of our flag and that there is not that love of country, we're just not teaching patriotism. And I think this year, given it's our 250th anniversary, what better time to refocus and to take a look at how we are teaching, what we're not teaching, and to make sure that that same kind of commitment and focus is reinstituted in our educational system, because it's just a shame that we have the most wonderful country in the world, and we are neglecting to teach our students the very basics and the very tenets of patriotism and respect.
That's very well said. Secretary Linda McMahon speaking with us right now, the Secretary of Education in President Trump's administration. Just anecdotally, Secretary, my husband is a middle school history teacher, public school as well. And he is talking about U.S. history quite a bit. That's kind of the core study. And he's always coming home talking to me about the really intelligent questions that kids ask. And, of course, there's a lot of input, a lot of social media input on what these kids are exposed to. But they are inquisitive. They do have questions, and they do want to talk about it, which always just observationally from where I sit makes me think the kids are still open to understanding why this country is a great country and where we came from and how we've righted some incredible wrongs over the course of our history. But it does seem like a choice that adults are making to reframe America's history for these children so they're not put into these positions to ask these questions. Has there been an agenda in education to make children hate this country?
Well, I don't I don't know that I would go that far. And as the Secretary of Education, I think it's important to note that this department does not control curriculum. It's so interesting of what the view I think across the country might be relative to the Department of Education. But we are primarily a pass-through of funds that are appropriated by Congress, but it is thought that we often control curriculum, which we do not. We don't hire teachers, and we don't buy books or recommended that certain books be bought. But I think it is incredibly refreshing to me to hear your husband's perspective, that there is this curiosity, and I'm glad to hear it. I do think that our states should focus on educating our students and teaching them the history of this country. I mean, the complete history of our country, warts and all, to show the things that were not pleasant as part of our history, but how we overcame them, the steps that we took to do that, and to teach them that, that we're not perfect, as a country or civilization, but we have, we certainly have the right to pass the laws and to continually change things, in our country, and that we have the greatest, democracy in the history of the world. And that's what we have to focus on preserving.
We're speaking with Secretary Linda McMahon, the Secretary of Education in President Trump's administration. Before we let you go, we're grateful to be able to speak with you today, the same day that we will be able to witness this Presidential 1776 Award airing on CBS tonight, 7 o'clock here Central. I do want to ask you about the efforts in the One Big Beautiful Bill regarding the federal tax credit scholarship program. Secretary, I work in Missouri, but I live across the river in the state of Illinois. And to your point about how much involvement the Education Department has in states' issues, my governor, J.B. Pritzker, has not yet opted in to allow my children, who are students in the state of Illinois, to benefit from those federal tax credit scholarship dollars that could be donated. What do you say to people in Illinois? What can they do to participate in this incredible education program that was passed by the Congress and signed by the president?
Yeah, I have to tell you, it astounds me that there's any governor that doesn't want to opt in, and primarily Democrat governors have said, well, we want to see how this, how it plays out. We want to see what kind of restrictions are. But basically, they'll say, we don't want to take away from public education funds, et cetera. And that is just clearly not what's happening. We've had 28 state governors that have opted in. A couple of them have been Democrats. But this does not take $1 away from public school funding. These are private donations made into scholarship granting organizations in the states, and those private donors are allowed up to $1,700 for a federal tax credit for donating, and they're not limited how much they can donate to these SGOs. Those SGOs then can be used for scholarships that parents can, apply for, but they also can be used for special tutoring, for if there are special needs for children with disabilities, they can apply for that funding. It has so many positive aspects to it. And I just think it's incredible that not every governor is opting in for this.
Yeah, I'm lobbying Governor Pritzker to allow my children to participate in this program that I can, as an Illinois resident, donate to and receive that federal tax credit. I can put my money in it, but then my money will get shipped out to a different state to benefit a student maybe here in Missouri. Last question before we let you go, and we're very grateful for your time. Secretary Linda McMahon speaking with us. Go ahead.
Annie, can I stop you for that? Was an incredibly important point you just made, that why not put money into this program in Illinois that will benefit Illinois students? Because, my goodness, you don't want that money going out to another state just to get a federal tax credit. And it's really important. That's a really important point.
Yeah. The only thing standing between my child and my tax dollars that I can donate to this is Governor J.B. Pritzker, and he has turned his back on those children for right now, and I would really like to see him give them the opportunity. I believe Governor Hochul in New York has signed on to this, I think, which is pretty incredible. J.B. Pritzker, he wants to run for president one day. This might be a feather in his cap if he participates.
Well, Governor Hochul did one of those, 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of endorsements. She's not opted in wholeheartedly yet.
Well, New York needs to put some pressure on there too.
Yeah, she's trying to straddle the fence a little bit.
Just one more call back here to this presidential 1776 award. How does an idea like this come to be? Where does the interest come from to say, hey, we should get kids excited about this and reward them for it? I'm not quite sure how the president decided on these particular scholars, but I can tell you there is such an interest, across our country in making sure that we are educating our kids. And so we've really tried in this administration, coupled with, this particular award, we were at the same time doing our History Rocks tour. The Department of Education with other coalition partners went to all 50 states. These were programs and assemblies at schools all across the country to make sure that students were getting questions not only about U.S. history, but about their state's history as well. And they were fun programs. They were received well across the country, but we were just totally emphasizing the history of our country and the history of states. And that combined with this 1776 program. And, it's great that this program is picked up by CBS and will air tonight on the Scholarship Awards, because I think we have found that we are regenerating a lot of interest in history, and the very fact that we've got this incredible national state fair that's going on the Mall here in Washington, and every state is represented in the territories, and the agencies of the U.S. government have booths on the Mall. It's a wonderful thing to suddenly bring this focus on the history of our country and our 250th celebration, which we're all looking forward to culminating this weekend with the largest fireworks in the world. Oh, I'm so tempted to get in the car and drive out there. I've been looking at my calendar. I'm trying. I want to do it so badly. Secretary McMahon, it is a true pleasure to have you talking on this show. I've got 4 kids myself. My husband's a teacher, as I mentioned, and we lean heavily into these issues and the work that you've been doing. It's incredible, and we're grateful to be championing this Presidential 1776 Award here on our show. We'll be watching tonight.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
The Secretary of Education in President Trump's administration, Secretary Linda McMahon, here on the Annie Frey Show. Great conversation with her.